the word, anarchy means lack of government, but really, for me, anarchy is self-rule. It's the ability for a group of people in a community to govern themselves. And ideally, when you read the language of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, it's kind of talking about that, because there's not a disconnect between the governed and those governing. And so really, that's what anarchy is about. It's a lot of work. It's not punk rock. It's not smash a bottle and say up yours to the police. That's not anarchy. In fact, that's the opposite of anarchy. That brings on more need for more government oppression. So anarchy is governing yourself, governing your behavior, talking amongst yourselves, because no one of you is higher than any other. You're all totally equal in an anarchist community, and all of your inputs are equally valued. Women, men, everyone's equal, their input. So you have this consensus process. It takes a lot of work, for people to talk about their issues, consent on something, and agree, on something. So there has to be affinity amongst the group. There has to be something that binds them together. So in Spain, in Andalusia, the mountains of Spain, where they were all farmers, small farming community, up in what was called Casas Viejas, it was easy for them to kind of be anarchists. Another rule of anarchy is self-sustainability. You can't be relying on some outside source for your food. You have to grow your own food. You have to be self-sustaining and self-governing to be an anarchist. So in Spain, in Casas Viejas, is really sort of the last, in my mind, good experiment of anarchy. And it was squashed both by the fascists and the communists. The communists also always hate anarchists. But they were self-governing and they were self-sustaining. And in a way, if you look at Chiapas, the people in Chiapas, if you look at the Diné of Big Mountain, they do not cede their power to an outside authority, and they're self-sustaining. They can raise their own food and resources in their own community. So, to me, those are examples of a working model of anarchy.
So what do you think about targeted vandalism against corporations?
Targeted vandalism against corporations doesn't really have anything to do with anarchy. That's sort of a response to corporate oligarchy that we live in right now. So it might be appropriate behavior. I don't condemn that behavior. In fact, I think it needs to happen right now. But it doesn't really have anything to do with building a sustainable, self-governing community. It's simply a response to the corporations and what they're doing to us right now. So whether you're a socialist, a communist, a young budding capitalist, whatever you are, you recognize, hey, there's only 4 TV channels and 2 of them are owned by nuclear companies. Something's wrong here, So it doesn't matter what your political agenda is. You can see that corporations are doing a lot of damage and sort of hedging off any resistance, kind of hegemony in certain areas. So if it's Monsanto, for example, they tried to take over world soy production. The Roundup Ready soy and the Terminator seed and all that kind of stuff. So they're doing really destructive things. These multinational corporations. And so to target the multinational corporations that are doing these horrible things and say, look, we've written letters to the Congress, we did all that, and no one seems to care. They own the media. We don't seem to be able to place any content in the media about them. We gotta get a little bit busy here. We gotta do something, Not a bad idea. Look at all the press that was gotten. Some of it was negative, and they think, well, it diffused the message and blah, blah, blah. And it really was easy for the press to sort of focus on the anarchist of Eugene. Which, who knows if that's, even if they were. They could have been agent provocateurs who did a lot of that damage. Will we ever know? But in some ways, it also did heighten the awareness of what was going on here in Seattle. So it's a win-lose situation.
So do you think that all the young anarchists wearing black and covering their faces are violent anarchists?
I in fact think no. I think probably most of them aren't. I know that most of them are dedicated to nonviolence. The true anarchists are dedicated to nonviolence because the old image of the bomb-throwing anarchist, you know, from like the way, 100 years ago, that's really been used against anarchists so strongly that you can't be a viable anarchist today and be promoting violence, you know. You just can't do it. You have to promote sustainability, nonviolence, because the fascist, really, the corporate friendly fascist is what we're against if you consider yourself an anarchist. They're the ones with violence. They use violence and force because they don't have logic, fear, and consensus. They're trying to control you from a top-down position. And you're trying to say everyone's equal, let's talk, you know. So when you can't say everyone's equal, let's talk, that's when you resort to fear and violence and oppression and all that.